Hello, I hope all is progressing well. Welcome to I Don't Know, We Can Talk About It, where we discuss myriads of topics civilly, reasonably, and responsibly. My name is Kevin Dufresne. Our first topic is with regard to No Child Left Behind, though how educational advancements, particularly with regard to testing, have come to develop. The article discusses what might be factoring into education, what might be factoring into performance regarding math and English, though beyond math and English, art, history, to note that different subjects receive different attention. When regarding how every educational pathway may prove differently, may involve different characteristics, different aspects that connect with different trajectories, long-term or short-term. One may well regard the intention and practice going through implementation within an educational environment, how effective any might be, is for one to observe as objectively as possible. Now, what happens with the outlying information? What happens with the information that is not within the scope of the immediate conversation in connection with the article, though in conversation with the broader context of educational performance, which does not only rely on an educational environment, which does not only rely on what happens with an educational environment, though relies on what may be external to an educational environment as well. How might any observe the progression of technology, the influence of advertising, the incremental details building that affect how individuals interact with learning, with living? How might an educational environment be able to navigate the realities of an educational environment being a workspace, though being an avenue which may support great advancement through learning well in life? Why might an individual be a great test taker, though may not do similarly comparatively to another in a different area of life? And how might both of these individuals find success, though differently? Why might any indicate that a particular aspect of an educational environment is super beneficial to current success, though that particular area does not receive objective measurement, does not receive objective support? When addressing if an educational environment is teaching to a test, one may recognize the test may operate similarly to how a test might when an individual is applying for entering higher education. Relevant, though not everything. Because an educational environment involves broader branches of learning, which evidentially, if one is considering primary school, secondary school, elementary, middle, high school, connecting to higher education, one may recognize that the consistency needs to be present with the measurements. So, grades may be a factor, performance through extracurricular activities may be a factor. There are many different areas to address within an educational environment that may qualify an educational environment differently than might be happening now. How might food, nutrition receive proper attention in an educational environment, which is essential to human development? How might environmental design affect an educational environment? When considering how different grades may benefit from being in particular spaces, how might the design of these spaces cater well to individuals with different needs and different abilities? How does a kind of detail of the sort fit into a criteria which acknowledges that an educational environment is far beyond what test results may prove? Especially considering the percentage of individuals that may score well on a test, though may approach the test differently. How expansive approaching measuring educational environments may be is how expansive the examining criteria may need to be, so as to ensure the entire environment is receiving proper attention. When considering what an individual may need through an educational environment, similar factors need attention. Addressing a whole person requires addressing as much of the environment of the whole person as possible. To operate to such a degree, to develop an educational environment requires careful, different, and distinct efforts. This is not to say that non-traditional and traditional environments are not doing so, though to acknowledge that the set criteria is not reflecting so. Which brings to attention what may tie into an educational environment's success. At what level? To what degree? Especially considering the type of educational environment. So, when considering how many details may come into factoring how to examine an educational environment, how to examine an individual seeking to be in an educational environment, how educational environments connect between different tiers, one may recognize development is still necessary, and educational environments are well open to other strategies that may prove effective in ensuring educational environments are in criteria alignment to be better supportive, more competitive, though more an acknowledgement of ensuring individuals will be sufficient, functional human beings, increasingly aware outside, beyond an educational environment to fulfill educational criteria. When considering education with such approaching, one may find how the interconnecting points, crossroads if one will, education in connection with a different industry, entity, pathway. The realms of possibilities become more apparent, they shift, and most importantly, of these details improve with careful, appropriate attention. Our next topic: how teens comprehend news. One may address the article bringing about different elements of the conversation approaching news and parts of media literacy to note how individuals may perceive news, though perceive information. The differentiating aspects are so important to bring to attention. News as an industry is very different to understand than information by piecemeal that may be in connection with the industry of news. How individuals may engage with telecommunications, communications, information systems, news, reporting, journalism. All these may branch differently. When observing how to engage individuals with better comprehending news, one may benefit greatly from adhering to what news is from industry experts, from people that work with news, work with the proper formatting for bringing news to publishers, individuals, readers, audiences. The industry perspective is extremely different than the piece by piece perspective, because one may recognize how every news entity may have a news identity, a mission, may operate differently intentionally, though there may be a core area of which everyone in the industry recognizes as integral to news reporting, to journalism. When bringing attention to what the news connects to, individuals may find different comprehension of how to engage with news. What types of news formats exist? What genres of news are present? These are very important areas to understand that do connect with media literacy, though connect with addressing broader dimensions of industries of communication and telecommunications, news, publishing, broadcasting. How might educational environments implement the differing dimensions of news, especially considering the different types of attention that different formats of news receive? One educational environment might actually receive newspapers, magazines, different publications from publishers. Educational environments may actually have subscriptions to bring the forms of publishings to the educational environment so as to engage with the different aspects that exist. When considering news, one may greatly benefit from acknowledging that the internet offers details differently. Information of a news article might be in connection with a page that aligns with an advertisement that reads like a part of the article, though is not a part of the article, though part of an advertisement. Additionally, reading digitally online may bring one to read a news article with advertisements on the side instead of other news articles which one might find in a newspaper. The organization of a newspaper, of a magazine, may prove extremely different than organization of an online article. So when bringing about how to address news, I think addressing news broadly is extremely important, where one may consider all the different formats of news that are beyond the online realm. So individuals are able to understand how to navigate what a news entity might be about, might be bringing about, what else might entail bringing about news. All right, it's time for some origami. I have here a squarish sheet of origami. I'm gonna begin with strong folds, firm pressing, point to point. Afterward, from one side, we'll just flip the other side. We're going to fold in our left and right sides inside. Then we're going to unfold them. The idea is to have the valley fold be on the other side, so we want our mountain folds in the next portions of our folds. We're going to bring in these mountain folds, meaning the points that go up, into the center fold. As so with one side. And we'll end up with these fold right here. Next, what we're going to do is we're going to fold in from the back portion at this connecting point. This will be the tail point, so once you fold here, keep that fold. After this fold, we're going to fold again. This time, our guiding point will be this inside point here. And we're just going to fold up here. Either way you fold, we'll be able to bring the fold back. So, fold up here. Now that we're here, we're going to take our fold and fold it across where we just create that fold. This will come into play at a latter point. Okay. All right, so we have here a good portion of our folding. I'm going to take a glance at the instructions to continue on with the folding. We're actually going to connect these folds a bit differently from here. Voila. So, as you can see, the portion that I'm done folding is at the top here. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to fold in, so all these valley folds will work to bring in the portion up. You can see how the points will align. I'm going to fold this at the mouth, this fold right here. And I just want to point out that after folding everything facing me this way, you can just fold with everything facing up. So I'm going to fold in the middle portion. Everything comes up. And pressing in this, there's a little triangle, which is easier to find. If I say little triangle, I think this way we'll have our folding here. What we're then going to do is we're actually going to close after that fold. Just close this door here, that little flap, then press this down. Then you can fix the folds from behind. Try to keep everything there real tight. From here, we're going to bring the flap down in the front here. And afterward, we're gonna take this flap that we just bring down and we're gonna fold the flap up into itself. So we're gonna make a sealed pocket. Okay, so we have our sealed pocket here. From here, we are going to just flip one side here, flipping that one flap over so that we can make our next folds. We're gonna fold in the edge to the center fold. After we fold the edge into the center fold, we're gonna bend in this corner. So we're just gonna bend the corner in just enough. So it'll bend from the point right here. And after we bend that part in, we will bring in the bottom portion to fold. So we're just gonna fold it up, but not all the way, just a little bit. Okay, so when I say a little bit there, we'll have just some over that will help us in a different fold. Next, we're going to open this flap again, keeping the folds. No need to do any extra folding there. And we're just gonna bring the flap to the other side. We're gonna fold in the edge behind the flap to the center fold, just like we do the other side. Afterward, we'll just bring in this corner edge, aligning it just to bend. Once it reaches the corner, once the corner bends there, then you're fine. Then we'll just fold in this bottom portion. Again, not all the way, just a little bit. Okay? So that we have bends later. We're gonna have different curves. Then we're gonna just take this flap, we're gonna just bring it over as so. No need to touch the other areas again. Okay? Next, after these intricate folds, we're gonna return to our main portion here. We're going to fold in the top points, so these edges, we're going to fold them in as so. Then we're going to unfold them and we're going to fold the other way. So we're going to fold the bottom portions the same way into the centerpiece. So then we'll have a strong fold as so. Next, we're gonna have a movement, which is very important to watch because we're gonna now pull out the center portion. We're gonna use the lines from that portion of our recent folds. What we'll do is we're now gonna look from our new folds, and I'm just gonna bend it over, the fold over as so. You see that fold? Then press in to this. There's a very fine line here that we're gonna just press in. You wanna make sure you just get that in, then bring it back. So we'll take this portion in and bring it back. Let me try to get this as best as I can because I wanna make sure the fold is really going to work well with the rest of this piece. So I'm going to look at it again to make sure I have it there. Bring that fold over from the most recent fold, which we can see here. Bring it over in, then we're gonna fold when it's in here. The it's a nice fold, so you can see it. It's a nice fold right here, just again, a very close thin fold there. Next, we're gonna move over the entire piece to fold over that other inner piece to match. Okay, and from here, once we get this fold, we just bring it in, and there we go. Much easier to do on that side, but once you find that fold, you'll find a nice groove. Thereafter, we can just release this, bring it back here into the middle here. I'll say guide it to the middle here because it'll be a fold that might go to one or the other side more heavily, especially after these kind of folds. Because what's going to happen next is we are going to bring in this next portion here, which is going to be our fold. This is a key part to this, where we're going to just fold along. So we're going to fold along just along the point. We're just going to fold just along the point. And we're going to bring the other side over. We're just going to fold just along the point. When I say the point, I mean this center piece here that we have. We're just going to fold along just this center piece inside. If you fold it well, then you'll have the exact fold you'll need. Okay, so after we fold it in into that point, you can have them both going. We're gonna actually bring in the fold. So we bring it in. We can lean to one side here as we bring this fold in. This one's gonna have to fold in from the very tip of the origami piece. So I'm looking at this again, the instructions, which you may find a link to in the summary, so as to really bring in the details of this origami form well. So this will fold over. We're going to fold it all the way from the inside tip. One way to do this is literally to go like, there we go. You're still gonna, you don't want the whole corner to fold, you just want this upper quarter of this to fold. Okay. And after that, you can do the same to the other side. It's not really a complex fold. It's really just a fold that fits like a puzzle, if one will. It fits like a puzzle into this entire origami piece. When you get a fold like this, you can find the origami can really transform differently. And so origami is how you make it, of course. Of course, we're gonna try to make it as accurate as possible. When you come in here next, what you'll do is you'll fold it in. Okay. So with that, we can move forward, and you bring it out. This is the same fold we're just working with. Bring it out. And you fold it in. Okay. So this is gonna need some work, as I can see, because the fold can be better, not the most accurate there. But what can happen next is the next stage. We're gonna fold up here from the bottom portion, to then fold down here. And from here, you can see our earlier folds are going to contribute to what happens on the inside, we're just going to fold them in here on the inside, just fold it from the top, and we're going to fold the other direction as well. It will have a bend, and that's okay. Afterward, we'll fold the center in. Hereafter, we fold the center in, we'll return to make the inside portion bend. So what we'll do is we'll just have the fold in the back portion, they'll meet in to bend. And we'll curve this portion here to make our tail. And I'm gonna return here to our initial folding here to just address how we can get this fold in right here. We get this fold in here, right here, bring that back, that's in here, right on. Then I'm gonna actually make an adjustment here just to keep this middle lip firm. I'm just gonna take it, there we go. Press it here. Okay, I'm gonna bring it in. Then just have the fold develop here out. Okay. There we go. So this way I'll have the fold in, but also I'll have the structure of my stingray well in thing. And there we have, yeah, okay. There we have our stingray. So, yeah, there we have our stingray here. The mouthpiece, very unique, like it's talking, of course, though we can see the stingray's form, its wings here. And we can always improve, but I'm glad that we're here. With that, it's time for discussion of a book. I champion reading physical books. When an individual reads a physical book, there are a lot of health benefits. One's brain physically changes as one is reading a physical book. Men's Health Guide. The text is a great way to engage with comprehending men's health. The text offers many different areas of men's health to consider, which are not exhaustive, though definitely worth looking into with more regard as one is assessing what might be beneficial for one's health in development, for understanding how one might be able to cater to one's health. The text is bringing about good information with regard to exercise, with regard to the different ways to address nutrition, though one's health metabolically, with regard to how one is tending to any chronic situations one may be having. Again, the text is really offering not so much an intensive as much as an exploration of important areas to a fine degree that may really receive great benefit with further exploration. And I think one area of the text that stands out really is with regard to cycling, how to be mindful of one's groin area when cycling, which brings about attention to the equipment one is using for training, how to properly ensure one is training correctly, exercising correctly, so that one is not just going through the motions of bringing about more physical activity in one's life, though, so one is doing so safely. And I think that is extremely important to understand that there are methods, there are strategies that may be particular to one's being, to one's health currently, that really need addressing, that really need support, that really need a helping guide. So one may embrace different dimensions of living well, living healthfully, without feeling as though living healthfully is burdensome. I think the text is one offering that may be beneficial to not only men, though women as well, especially with regard to how individuals may connect health-wise to ensure healthier developments, healthful progressions. So as to not only live long, though live enjoyably, healthfully, thriving long. Thanks for joining. I don't know. We can talk about it. Onward and Upward, Kevin Dufresne.